Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'du, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُم مُّصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. وقال الله تعالى: إِذْ جَاءُوكُم مِّن فَوْقِكُمْ وَمِنْ أَسْفَلَ مِنكُمْ وَإِذْ زَاغَتِ الْأَبْصَارُ وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرَ وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ هُنَالِكَ ابْتُلِيَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَزُلْزِلُوا زِلْزَالًا شَدِيدًا. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود كما بدأ فطوبى للغرباء. قالوا بل هم يا رسول الله؟ قال الذين يصلحون ما أفسدوا من سنتي، أو كما قال صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم دائما أبدا أبدا على حبيبك خير خلقه محمد وآله وأصحابه وأهل بيته وعترته وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. My dear respected brothers, the conditions and the halat and circumstances all around the world with the Muslims is in front of us. The news is giving us the full information. We don't have to talk about it. No. Everything is in front of us. How the Muslims, men, women and children are being persecuted all over the world, and specifically in some parts of the world, they are all in front of us. As intelligent Muslims, we need to look at what we are supposed to do in such circumstances and conditions. How we should be feeling and how we should be reacting, especially living in the western part of the world, which we have chosen for ourselves and our families. We have to make sure that we on one side are able to express our feelings as Muslims, but on the other side, it is also very important for us and for our future generation to abide by the rules and regulations and laws of the country we have chosen. Very important for us. And we have to look at the Quran and Hadith, how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our leader, dealt with such circumstances. Because Islam is complete. everything which is going to happen until Yawmul Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala has already given us the solution through the Quran and through the Seerat of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Everything which will happen in the world until Yawmul Qiyamah, it has already happened in the past. And especially in the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allah Ta'ala chose special companions, Sahaba, and made them go through circumstances and conditions which will result as an example and model for us until Yawmul Qiyamah. The conditions today also happened at the time of Battle-e-Ahzab, the Battle of Trench, where the Muslims were totally helpless and surrounded from all sides. And Allah Ta'ala Himself is describing this incident in the Quran. إِذْ جَاءُوكُمْ مِنْ فَوْقِكُمْ وَمِنْ أَسْفَلَ مِنْكُمْ. That they came from all sides, from above and from below, all around. They were surrounded. Right? In such a way, Allah Ta'ala, imagine Allah is saying this in the Quran. What must have been the condition in Battle of Trench? وَإِزَاغَتِ الْأَبْصَارُ وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرَ وَتَظُنُّونَ بِاللَّهِ الظُّنُونَ. Such frightening conditions that the eyes were popping out, Allah is saying. And the hearts were coming to the throat. وَبَلَغَتِ الْقُلُوبُ الْحَنَاجِرَ. When does the heart come to the throat? When you are in such a terrifying and frightening conditions, which is unbearable. Hearts were coming to the throat. And Allah Ta'ala is saying, we really shook them to such an extent that doubt started coming in the mind of the Sahaba. Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah Sallam, where is the nusrat and help of Allah which has been promised? Where is it? Huh? هُنَالِكَ ابْتُلِيَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَزُلْزِلُوا زِلْزَالًا شَدِيدًا. Allah is describing the Creator, that we really shook them to such an extent. At that situation and time, how Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam dealt with the situation. An incident has been reported in the Battle of Ahzab Trench that some Sahaba were, they were making a khandaq, digging all around so that there would be a distance between the enemies and the Sahaba. They were digging a trench. And some Sahaba were trying to break this rock. And they were unable to. So they went to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and they said, Ya Rasulullah, we can't, this is very strong and heavy. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took the axe and hit 2-3 times. And when he hit, the sparks came out. Hazrat Salman Farsi radiallahu ta'ala, who was there, he said, Ya Rasulullah, what are these sparks? He said, did you see them? He said, yes, I saw them. He said, the Persian and Roman empires have fallen. Right? On one side, the conditions are such that eyes are popping out and they don't have anything to eat, drink. It's a terrible night and hearts are coming to the throat. And on the other side, the determination of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that he is giving them glad tidings. That look, Persian and Roman empires have fallen. And we know that they did fall. The history is telling us. What Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the Sahaba, 100% absolutely happened like that. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at this situation gave determination to the Sahaba and total reliance on Allah. That is one of the important things. Rather than we talk about it, we make noise, and we become aggressive and cause problem for ourselves and our future generation and others, civilians all around us, which is not going to help us at all. We have to look at the seerat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, believe in Allah, the determination in Allah Ta'ala. That is the important thing for you. We have to rely and have that total conviction in your heart that what Allah has promised is going to happen. But the promises of Allah Ta'ala are connected with conditions. So rather than we react, we have to look at what are the conditions in the Quran we should be following at this moment. In Surah Baqarah, Allah Ta'ala is saying, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. That I am going to test you. Sometime I will bring hunger, and sometime I will bring frightening situations and conditions, fright and fear. And sometime I will take the loved one away from you. All these conditions will come. Sometime I will take your wealth away from you. What you have to do in a situation like this? وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. That in a situation like this, we have to turn to Allah Ta'ala with patience, with tolerance, and say that everything is happening from Allah Ta'ala and we all have to return back to Allah Ta'ala. However, these countries where we are living, they have given us the right as citizens. And in Hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is also saying that the entire Ummah is like a body. If there is any pain in any part of the body, the whole body feels it. It's natural. The entire Ummah should be feeling. And if there is pain in the eyes, the feet and hands, they don't say, it's nothing to do with me. You have to deal with yourself. The feet will walk to the doctor. The hands will be used. The tongue will explain the problem. All the parts of the body will come into action. Why? Because there is some pain in one part of the body. In the same way, if Muslims are suffering in any part of the world, then the whole Ummah has to feel that. And then we have to take action, but in a proactive way, not reactive way. This is the way of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he arrived in Medina Munawwara, he found that there were Arabs and the Jews. There were 3 tribes of Jews. They were fighting. There were skirmishes between them. Banu Qurayza, Banu Qurayza, all these 2-3 tribes were there. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam collected them all and said, look, we are living together, so we have to learn to respect and accept each other. Although there are differences between us, we have to learn to respect and accept each other, honor each other, respect each other's ways. There are differences. In order to create peace and harmony, we have to find a way out, the middle way out. And he created a treaty between the Sahaba. And also we find in the early days of Makkah, when things were so hard, Muslims, and all of the mushrikeen, they were determined to finish off the Muslims. At that time, they also had a round table conference. Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Utbah, Abu Walid, all these big mushrikeen, big leaders, they all sat down. How we should stop this one person who is bringing Islam? And so they all decided first of all to come to the uncle, Abu Talib, and complain and use him to stop him. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was called by Abu Talib. He had a soft heart for Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He had sympathy for it. And he said, look, nephew, what these people are saying. So what was the reply of Rasulullah? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, oh my uncle, if these people decide to bring the sun on my right hand and the moon on my left hand, even if they went to that extent, I will not leave the right way. Determination. But he showed us the way. So they all sent one person who was very learned in the time, Utbah Abul Walid, from the family. In fact, he was also related to Rasulullah. They sent him. He was a very clever person. And he tried to reason with, initially, talk to Rasulullah. This is the way. Muslims, nowhere in the history of Islam we find, or in the Seerat of the Sahaba, we find that the Muslims went round aggressively and started burning the houses, killing innocent people. It's nowhere. There is nowhere in the Seerat. He He said, he tried to first of all corner Rasulullah. He said, tell me, are you better or your grandfather? His first question he asked him. Who would say I am better than my grandfather? Rasulullah became quiet. He said, tell me, are you better or your father? Both of them have died. No answer. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he showed us that when cries and ignorant questions come from all over the place, then the best option is to keep quiet. No reply to the ignorance. That's the answer. If they say like this, we are going to talk against them. If they come out with 20 people, we'll come out with 40 against them. In Islam, we don't have this confrontation attitude. We don't find that from Seerat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, we find negotiate, talk, reason with intelligence and wisdom, and show them the greatness of Allah Ta'ala. And he said, what do you want? If you want money, wealth, wife, women, we can give you all. But you have to stop calling people towards Allah Ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam very quiet, not a single word. And then he started cursing him. You are dividing us, you're saying against the religion of our forefathers. And so he exhausted himself. This is our seerat. We should read. And when he finished, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him the chance to talk until he exhausted himself. And then when he finished, he said, Afarakhta ya Abul Walid? Have you finished now? Now you listen to me. And instead of replying back, he started reading the Quran. Surah Fussilat. Hamim, Tanzilum min ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Kitabun Fussilat ayatuhu, Quranan Arabiyyan liqawmi ya'lamun, Bashiran wa Nadhira. Reading Quran. This Surah Fussilat, Allah is describing His power and qudrat. How Allah created the heaven and the earth. And after creating them, how He turned to the entire universe and said, do sajda, prostrate. And the entire universe came under the feet of Allah Ta'ala. And he went on. And Abul Walid had never heard such kalam, such Quran. Allah has power in the Quran. There is no power in our words of anger. There is power in the Quran. Until he reached the verses, فَإِنْ عَرَضُوا فَقُلْ أَنذَرْتُكُمْ صَاعِقَةً مِثْلَ صَاعِقَةِ عَادٍ وَثَمُودَ. That if you don't accept the greatness of Allah Ta'ala, then be warned of the punishment which came on Qawm Aad and Qawm Thamud. It was known. Then Allah will retaliate. And he put his hand on the mouth of Rasulullah. He said, please don't curse us. And he went back. So my dear respected brothers, we have the conditions. There's no word, it's not worth even talking about it. However, we should be doing something. First of all, turning to Allah Ta'ala. Lots of istighfar. Because istighfar, repenting in front of Allah Ta'ala, because we find that it is actually due to our bad actions. All these conditions are coming on us is due to our bad actions of the whole Ummah. That one part of the world is suffering because of the whole Ummah of Muslims. Allah is saying, ظَهَرَ الْفَسَادُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ bima kasabat aydin nas. Whatever unfavorable turmoil and conditions that take place in the world, on land and in the ocean, Allah is saying. Fil barri wal bahri. Human hand is involved. This is due to the actions of the human being. We have to look at our actions. And Allah is saying, we will send you these conditions. Why? لِيُذِيقَهُمْ بَعْدَ الَّذِي يَعْمِلُوا. So that you can taste the result of your actions. What you have done, you have to taste the results of that in this dunya. Why? لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. So that before you die, you turn back to me. We turn back because the doom and failure of the hereafter life is forever and ever. Allah doesn't want us. Allah is Ghafur Rahim, Rahman or Rahim. If we move little bit towards Allah, He will come running towards us. Allah is saying, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Don't lose hope from Allah Ta'ala. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. Allah will forgive all your sins. We have to turn to Allah Ta'ala. And in whatever intelligent and wise way we can communicate, we should do that. But not with aggression. Because aggression will never give us any positive results. It will always be negative. When we look at the Seerat, Allah has shown us. May Allah give us the ability, my dear brother. So lots of dua and istighfar. And, obviously we have to set the example for our children also who are living here. That, like even in school, this is a testing time. And we need to communicate with them. I found a few days ago, there was some reaction from one of the teachers in Ottawa. But the parents communicated in the proper way and explained that this was not the right reaction from the teacher. And she accepted and apologized. So that's the way we have to do it. May Allah Ta'ala give us the ability. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.